everybody, welcome back to In The Huddle. I'm Jillian Kushner. Today is Thursday, so we're going to be talking all about the big games this weekend. Before y'all go, please subscribe below, and there's going to be a link in the description box for the link to the Facebook page. Please like that, ask any questions. If y'all want me to discuss a certain topic or whatever, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know, and let's get on to the big games this weekend. So as I've mentioned every single week, basketball season hasn't yet gotten into the swing where it's a big game, blah, blah, blah. So today is only about the NFL and college football, per usual. So first we're going to start with the NFL. I'm not going to lie to y'all, there aren't that many games this weekend that are just like, oh my gosh, this is a huge game, it's so important. Right now, this is going to be week 13 of the NFL. There's 17 weeks before they enter the playoffs. So like I've said before, these last few weeks is like really crucial. There's a lot of teams who are going to try to be getting into the playoff race, and so all these wins are extremely important. I'll discuss the teams that really need to start winning in order to make the playoff race, or just on the cusp of making the wild card, or whatever it is. I'll discuss that after I discuss what I think is the only big game this weekend, honestly. That's the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Atlanta Falcons. Kansas City Chiefs are 8-3 and the Falcons are 7-4. So, like I've already mentioned, playoffs coming up. Both of these teams are having pretty good seasons and just want to kind of continue that, especially going into the playoffs. So this game is going to be big just as far as maintaining where they are in the playoff race. As of right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are in the AFC, they're currently in the first spot in the wild card, so they would be making the playoffs if the playoffs were to start right now. And the Falcons are currently at the top of their division, so they're like an automatic in. I might make the next video explaining how the NFL playoffs work, but basically the Falcons are good right now. Like, they're already going to be in the playoffs if it were to begin today. With that being said, the Falcons are the top of their subdivision, but Tampa Bay is right in second, really close at 6-5. So if Tampa Bay were to win this weekend, if the Falcons were to lose, they'd be in a kind of tough position because they are going to be tied for the top of their division, which would then kind of put them in a questionable spot for the playoffs. So they really need to be winning these games. The Chiefs are kind of in a better situation, sort of, but both teams really want this win, really need this win, and they need to keep winning the rest of the season in order for them to make the playoffs. So as far as the playoff race is concerned, the kind of 5 teams are really close to making it into that little wild card spot if the playoffs were to start today, are the following teams. It would be the Denver Broncos at 7-4, Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-5, Buffalo Bills at 6-5, Tampa Bay Bucks at 6-5, Minnesota Vikings at 6-5. So like I've mentioned, all those teams just have to win this weekend. So in college football, this weekend is the conference championship. So there's a multitude of conferences in college football, which I'll talk about in a video. So all of them have championships, except the Big 12. They don't have a Big 12 championship game. That's a whole other story and a whole other video. But there will be one next year. I think it's next year that it starts. Yeah, so that's not, every other game I'm talking about today is going to be a conference championship game, except the Big 12 games. It's not a conference championship. There is no conference championship game. So first we have the Pac12 Championship game. This game is actually going to be on Friday, which is kind of weird, but it's going to be between Colorado and Washington. Colorado is ranked 8th and they are 10-2, and Washington is 4th and they are 11-1. This week, Washington got into the playoffs again. They're number 4 now, so they're in the top 4. They will make the playoffs if that ranking stands. When I say they have to win this game, this is the biggest game of their lives. If they lose this game, they're out of their rankings and they will not be in the playoffs. And this is the last week of college football. There's no way to redeem themselves. This is the most crucial game of their season, really, because, like I said, it's the last week of college football. So if they were to lose, there's no chance of getting back in the playoffs. It's over. That's it. It's done. So if they win this weekend, they will be in the playoffs, most likely. I mean, unless the people who vote decide to be really mean, but most likely they're going to be in the playoffs if they win this weekend. So this is a really big game. Colorado has had a really good year, but so has Washington. I expect Washington to pull this out just because so much is riding for them. Colorado is not going to make it into the playoffs. Even if they win this game, they're not going to make it into the playoffs. They would just be ruining someone else's dream, really, if they win this game. So like I said, there is no Big 12 championship game. I just laugh when I say it because it's that stupid that we don't have a championship game. But this weekend is the Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State game, which is called Bedlam. That's what it's called. It's their rivalry, their in-state rivalry. So this is kind of going to be the Big 12 championship game, really, because Oklahoma is ranked 9th and Oklahoma State is ranked 10th. Both are 9-2. Like I've said before, no one's going to get into the playoffs from the Big 12, so that sucks. But whoever wins this game, better bowl game, really. But it will be a big game because these teams hate each other. And I've told y'all before, I love rivalry games. I love them. So these teams hate each other, and I expect this to be a fun one. A lot's riding on the game for Oklahoma, really. Two of their players, Baker Mayfield, their quarterback, and Day-Day Westbrook, their wide receiver, both are incredible. Both in the Heisman race right now to win the Heisman Trophy. So it's really going to be getting a spot to go to the actual ceremony in New York City, be like one of the top contenders for the Heisman. Day-Day Westbrook's my Heisman favorite. He's absolutely incredible. Oh my god. Watch the game just to see Day-Day Westbrook because he is so amazing. I think that guy, I'm going to have him on my fantasy team one day because he is that good. He's so good. But this will be a good game. Love rivalry games, all that good stuff. Whoever wins this wins the Big 12, basically, because there's no Big 12 championship game. The next conference championship game this weekend is the SEC championship game. Of course, number 1 Alabama is going to be in it. They're undefeated at 12-0, and then number 15 Florida at 8-3. Okay, let's be real. Is this going to be some crazy game where Florida upsets Alabama? Probably not, but am I going to hope for it? You betcha. I want Alabama to lose. I feel like everyone except Alabama fans are sick of them winning all the time. They're already in the playoff. They've been in the playoff since day one. They've been ranked number 1 since preseason. They've never dropped from number 1. They've won every single game. They're obnoxious. So would we all like to see Florida win this? Yeah. But Alabama's favored by 24 points, so it's probably not going to happen. But regardless, it's the SEC championship game. I guess watch it. I'm going to watch until I see that the score gets away from Florida. So, yeah, I gotta keep the hope alive, you know what I'm saying? Gotta keep the hope alive. The ACC championship game is gonna be number 3 Clemson at 11-1 versus number 23 Virginia Tech at 9-3. Okay, Virginia Tech, if they win this, doesn't really matter. They're 23rd, doesn't matter. But Clemson's number 3, and like we said, those top 4 spots get into the playoffs. They want to be in the playoffs. They were in it last year in the national championship, and they lost to Alabama. But Clemson has a lot riding on this. Like I said, it's people who are in the playoff, if they lose this game, they are out of their playoff spot. They're not going to be in the playoffs, so Clemson has to win this. It's not so much a big game for Virginia Tech, okay, ACC champions, yay. But Clemson, they'd be the ACC champions, and they'd be in the playoff, which is what matters. So everything's riding on them for this. I expect them to win this. They've had an incredible season. Another Heisman contender in Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, who's absolutely incredible, really talented guy. So I expect the same kind of competition there. I think they pull it out. They're currently favored to win by 10. I hope they win by more because this is going to be really important for them. And then, if they win this, they're set. They're in the playoffs, no question. I don't see Clemson getting bumped out for any reason. Again, unless the voters decide to be mean. That's the only way that would happen. And the last conference championship game this weekend is the Big 10 championship game. That's between number 6 Wisconsin at 10-2 and number 7 Penn State at 10-2. This is going to be a pretty good matchup. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but that Michigan and Ohio State are both in the Big 10. By the way, that game turned out to be everything I hoped and dreamed of, FYI. But it's kind of weird what's going on in the Big 10 right now. Basically, Ohio State lost to Penn State, and that's why Penn State's in it, and blah, 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 blah. But this game is important, and there's a very small chance that somehow the winner of this could get into the playoffs if Clemson lost and Washington lost and Michigan didn't get the spot for some reason. Whatever. It would be a very small chance. But basically, whoever wins this is going to be in a better bowl game. They're going to be in one of the top bowl games because they are going to be so high ranked. It's a big championship game for them. Both teams have had really good seasons, surprisingly. Big 10 has been pretty good this season. So it's a big game. Not really anything playoff-wise riding on this because, like I said, Ohio State's already in that top 4. Michigan is in number 5. So, it doesn't benefit really either of these teams unless everyone in the playoff lost. Then they'd be in it. The winner of this game would be in it. But I don't see that happening unless it's the craziest weekend of college football ever. But those are all the big games this weekend. I hope y'all enjoy. I love this time of year in football because we're getting those really intense games. About to be bowl game season in college football, and the playoffs are going to start soon as well in the NFL. It's going to be fun stuff. I will see you guys on Tuesday to talk more about the technical side of football. I hope you'll have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.